Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown of mighty warriors. On the left hand side we have Blitzen, aka Slayer, leading the force of the High Elves, here to Astarlian Tomb to battle out against the Blood Penguin and his Skaven legions. Blood Penguin is a real rock and roll badass name, I like it quite a bit. So let's hop into this battle and see what we have on offer today. So the High Elves, really fun build. In the front line we have the dual-wielding maniacs, the rangers, looking to dive headlong into a big pile of rats and get to slicing and dicing. They're cheap, they're cheerful, and they certainly do a fantastic job up against the Skaven front line and can clear through very, very quickly those kind of bog-standard distracting meat shield units. In the secondary line, we do have a ton of archers. 1, 2, 3, 4 in fact. Apply some long-range pressure. They're going to be assisting the triple Eagle Claw bolt thrower. So much money invested into range in this build. And that's simply to try to counteract weapon teams and also do damage as well to some of the bigger key targets. On the flanks, we have some Silver Helms, one on the far side and double on this right-hand side. Looks like a slight flank overload is up in the skies. We have a Mighty Moon Dragon, who is bearing the Archmage of Fire to battle. Coming in with Fireball, Cascading Fire Cloak, and Burning Head. Really good toolkit all round, and I think all round, the Archmage in general is a little underrated. Archmage Lords, if you've been a fan of the channel for a little while, you know I often rave about them, but combining your mage with your lord saves you so much money, so I really do like this little pick here. In the back, we also have a mage of high magic lurking in the wings with Apotheosis to heal up that mighty dragon. Battle has started underway. You can see shots are being traded between the weapon teams as well as the artillery pieces. And for the Skaven, we have Skaven Slave Spears dotted all the way through the front line. Cheap, cheerful, very unhappy to be here chaff to absorb the initial blows and damage, with more clan rats in the central core to help protect the large investment on range. We have Rattling Gunners, we have Poison Wind Mortars, we also have Itix Zap Zap, the Regiment Renowned Warp Lightning Cannon. Almost always when you see Warp Lightning Cannon, it will be that Regiment Renowned version. We have double Wolf Rats with Poison in the back line, so a bit of backline protection, as well as some Rat Ogres and Warp Grinders in the mists. Warp Grinders is really good at pinning the enemy in place. More Rat Ogres on this flank, and in the central pocket of this build, we have the Council Guard, Regiment Renowned Storm Vermin with Halberds, and the mighty Lord Skrulk himself. Still one of my favourite Skaven Lords to bring personally in tournaments. I think he's very powerful. Comes in with the Liber Bubonicus, as well as Rod of Corruption, and of course, Pestilent Birth, Vermintide, and Pestilent Breath, the competitive toolkit for most matchups. We have a couple of heroes as well to help back up Lord Skrulk and let him lead his armies to victory. We have a Warlock Engineer as well as an Assassin. It looks like the Warlock Engineer is simply coming in with the one spell, which is the Howling Warp Gale. Oh no, that could pin in the mighty dragon itself and allow the weapon teams to really start dishing out some damage. But the battle is underway. Mortars opening up fire on the Rangers, looking to lower their health as much as possible early on to limit their damage output and stop them from slaughtering the Skaven slaves in the front line too quickly. The Itix Zap Zap is now aiming after that Archmage of Fire, realising it's probably going to lose the artillery fight. And as you can see, it is already down to just one artillery piece. Equal Bolt Thrower is so good at trading artillery pieces. Rangers do dive in, whipping those blades around like absolute lunatics and fanatics, charging into glorious hand-to-hand combat, trying to get to grips with Lord Skrulk. But a beautiful Clan Rat summon coming down in the back line from Lord Skrulk is going to enable him to shut down at least one unit of archers momentarily. Over here we can see the Archmage has been hit by the Liber Bubonicus, but is being held up as well by an Apotheosis. Nice counterplay there coming by the High Elf player, and he's using his Silver Helms on the flank to crash down on the front line. I think we're going to see the same here. Allow those Rangers to break through and then force overwhelming numbers into the back line of the Skaven. This is a tactic I'm a massive fan on. Silver Helms lower those Lancers, charging into the rear of the Clan Rats. Yeah, those Clan Rats aren't going to be having a good time whatsoever. All three Equal Bolt Throws quite happily firing into the enemy back line. Those Wolf Rats, I think, still need to whip around the flanks and try and apply a little bit of pressure, but at the moment, they are being used instead. Where have they gone, actually? It seems like they may have been forced off instead. Silver Helm's done a good job as well, ushering them away. Up in the skies, big danger for the Archmage. He must have been hit by a Warp Gale and stuck around a little bit too long with those Rattling Gunners, taking massive burst damage, but luckily, an Apotheosis does come out the bag from that wizard hidden in the trees. In the main fight, the High Elves did a decent job starting to push through, but now Rat Ogres are amongst them, the Council Guard, all those heroes, and they're starting to suffer quite badly. Seismic Snare pinning all these troops in place, including the Silver Helms, who are doing some lovely subtle charging. Now getting hit as well by a Rod of Corruption. The other Silver Helms try to come into support, and once again get pinned as soon as they come in to that Air Effect spell, and now decide to flee, fall back. regroup, and charge into the deep one more time. In the back line, you can see the Rangers desperately trying to push forward onto those Poison Wind Mortars, who had some really good success so far, but the Rat Ogres have managed to stall them long enough and beat them back, causing them to flee from the battlefield. Poison Winds continue to do damage to archers as well, and the archers not doing too bad. Up to 25 kills now, focus firing down the Rat Ogres, which is always a solid good idea, because they are rather squishy themselves. Another fantastic summon in the back line by the Skaven player. Been really impressed so far with his use of his Winds of Magic. Now shutting down those E-Claw Bolt Throwers, but this time there's a big scary Archmage to help protect. And the Bolt Thrower crew, this is again brilliant play by the Helms player. Been saying brilliant play quite a lot this replay, and that's because both these guys playing out their skins. E-Claw Bolt Thrower crew realise they're going to get overrun, just drop their artillery pieces and leg it for the hills. You never know, they might be able to come back and fight another day, and there are Rangers here who can help support. One big problem for the forces of the High Elves is the Council Guard, but they kind of been dealt with here by their own team. Poison Wind Mortars trying to focus down the E-Claw Bolt Throwers do massive damage to the Council Guard, who are really quite bunched up there. Over on the right hand side, we have a nice little pocket of archers continue to rain fire in onto those Rat Ogres, and the Silver Helms are looking relatively strong, although this unit a little bit beat up here. But the infantry fight has been well and truly won by the Skaven forces at this point. The Warp Grinders are alive and healthy. As soon as that dragon lands, as soon as the Silver Helms come in, they're going to be able to pin the enemy in place. We have Cascaded Fire Cloak go down on the Archmage, so I'm expecting them to charge into combat. Big fat breath attack goes down the line on the pinned in Rat Ogres. Silver Helm's working as an anvil here instead of the hammer, and now I'm sure the Archmage is going to dive in, buffed up by the added protection, and the big shock of a dragon charging in should be enough to break the Rat Ogres. Some of the Rattling Gunners have managed to rally. They're a little obstructed in their shooting, and the Silver Helms going to have to try and take advantage of this rather quickly and shut these guys down, because they can do massive damage, and they are slowing down the Silver Helms on their approach. Poison Wind Mortars finally being shut down, but they've only got one volley, it looks like, left on them. So the Archmage, getting in here, getting them off the field, helping to try to push that balanced power back more to the middle and stabilise a little bit. It's a good target to jump on, but they've managed to get some insane value, no doubt. 120 kills already. Some of the Skaven slaves flee before meeting the dragon, and I really don't blame them. I would probably flee as well if I saw such a majestic beast slaughtering all my friends and troops. It Zap Zap, Warpline and Cannon Crew, a bit more brave, are going to be charging in to try to get into hand-to-hand combat here. Silver Helms being used to drive off the Rat Ogres. I like to see this play, good diligent play, stopping troops coming back from the field. And over on this flank as well, we do have some archers who are having a bit of a resurgence here and have rallied themselves, but so have the Wolf Thrust, and they're bound and outstripping the Skaven slave spears. And oh no, these poor archers, no! They thought they were going to have a good time coming back into the late game and just whittling down some of the enemy, but alas, they have been caught here by the rats. But Silver Helms have rallied themselves, come clattering in to the doggos, should be able to force them off, but it looks like the archers have already been dealt with. One unit shattering and one unit breaking. Big Burning Head does come down the line to help the Archmage get up into the skies, getting some pretty decent work there, up to 132 kills, but there is so many Skaven left on the board at this point. In the distance though, 24 Silver Helms, not too shabby, can certainly do some good shock damage, and the E-Claw Bolt Thrower, who ran earlier, is now back in the action. So they're going to be lining up some shots, forcing the Skaven forward once more. It looks like two of the bolt throwers are actually active once more, and some Rangers have come back from the woods here to try to pin in and slow down the enemy. It can be very interesting to see what the bolt throwers are aiming for. They're still going single shot and making a bit of a mistake here, going after those Poison Wind Mortars. It looks like the High Elf player hasn't noticed yet that they're out of ammunition. Simply start focusing down Lord Skroak, or switch into that spread shot, going after the Council Guard and other such troops. Rangers are forcing themselves back here to help protect the bolt throwers with the assistance of the mage. Big Fat Burning Head is going to be going down the line on the Council Guard, as followed up by a big breath attack coming in. Now the breath attack of course does do that fire damage, and when you do magic spells with the Law of Fire, you give that weakness to the enemy, and that breath attack just obliterated Skaven slaves, mortars, they're all running for their lives. Lord Skroak not looking at the healthiest. I mean, he's big, pestilence and disease kind of rat, but he's looking even more unhealthy than usual, I should say. However, his hero core is really strong. Warlock, Engineer, Assassin, and Lord Skroak all looking relatively healthy, at least for this stage of the battle. The Archmage of Fire, though, a little bit more beat up. One bolt thrower is continuing to fire in, as the Silver Helm is just ushering off all these troops, and I think prioritising the Warp Grinders is a really solid idea. Force those guys off the battlefield, and all of a sudden, you have free reign to just cycle charge your enemy with nothing left to pin you in. We do have some units on the far side, looks like archers, but they've now completely scattered and gone. We do have some Skaven slaves who can return to the field. Unfortunately, these Silver Helms have been beat up enough. You can only charge a horse into combat so many times before it goes, you know what, I don't really like this, I don't want to stick around. The assassin is starting to move forward. Looks like the bolt throwers have switched their target priority onto Lord Skrog, doing some really nice damage to him here. And the Clan Rat summon once again being used to shut down the range potential of the Eclaw bolt thrower, which is a good idea. Use the summon to finish off one bolt thrower, use the rest of your force to focus down the other, and I don't think there's any coming back this time. No chance for the Eclaw bolt throwers to run and retreat, but Lord Skrog's been forgotten about slightly here. Looks like he was trying to juke some of the shots, and in come the Silver Helms and the Archmage. This could be really scary work. Lord Skrog trying his best to survive, and he's going to come with a fat roll of corruption, catching basically the entirety of the High Elf forces, or at least what remains of them. But the dragon is a mighty beast indeed, landing in here and managing to break Lord Skrog with a nice couple of hits there before falling back. Assassin's Trophy has been popped in the Archmage, who definitely doesn't want to stick around because that assassin will burst you down. Doesn't matter if you're a dragon or a foot character, he knows his stuff. So the Helms did a good job, but Roll of Corruption has certainly taken their toll on them. Lord Skrog down to just 665 health. Really clinging on at the moment. Balance Power for the first time is in favour of the forces of the High Elves. Howling Warp Gale does go down, pinning the dragon in place, stopping it from assisting its forces. This is such a grimy, scrappy game. Both players coming out with some clutch breath attacks, fireballs, but also the glorious Warp Gale played there, trying to buy time for the Warlock Engineer, Assassin, and Council Guard to really beat down these troops. And it looks like that's just what is happening. Silver Helms, very low morale-wise. The Mage of High Magic won't be able to stand up to an assassin either. Unfortunately, Lord Skrog has now fled from the main engagement, and this is going to allow the dragon to feast upon his unholy soul, and I expect him to do just that. One big hit coming in, Lord Skrog down to 96 health, and as soon as he dies, the leadership is going to falter for the... Oh my god, the bolt thrower crew! I was trying to cut off mid-sentence there, those shots whipping so close to the dragon, but killing Lord Skrog. That is the vengeance you need for those lovely summons earlier on shutting down their brethren. Looks like they may pay for it with their lives as the Assassin and the Warlock Engineer get about their butcher's work. Silver Helms do charge in, but they're very low themselves. I think the Archmage has enough about her though. 2,500 health in the late game is certainly nothing to scoff at. And with that, the Skaven forces are out to tell the tales of the mighty Silver Helms and Dragon who slaughtered their folk. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. That was some pretty insane stuff. A Pyrrhic victory to Blitzen, aka Slayer. Very well played to him and to Blood Penguin. Two fantastic players putting on a good show for us here. And I don't even know who the MVP was there. There were so many good performances all round. I think Lord Skrog with those summons is... I mean, the Poison Immortals as well does the huge amount of damage. Maybe they're kind of those two units are fine for the MVP, but for Blitzen and the High Elves, that Archmage put in a shift, but likewise the Silver Helms being the shield their range units needed to get the job done. So, we'll go through damage value and damage dealt in just a second, but if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a big fat thumbs up underneath, and feel free to comment as well. Who was your MVP? What was your favourite moment on the battle? And, yeah, you can just pop up and say quack as well. I really do enjoy reading all those comments. There's also links in the description to my Patreon, where you can support the channel, and my Discord, where you can submit replays. That's just how Blitzen did it today. Get involved in events I host, and chill out with a load of cool people. And make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We're on the road to 5k subs, which is pretty exciting. I think we're only like 100 subscribers off now or something, so we're getting dangerously close. But anyway, on to the good stuff. What was the damage value? Archmage of Fire, 266 kills, 3.5k damage value. It's so good. I love the Archmages on their dragons. A little risky, not coming in with too much healing. Of course, we had the Apotheosis. Apotheosis, though, is on the lower scale of how much it will heal you, but it is cheap. So again, if you're going to go for the double caster, I quite like this pick here coming in by Blitzen. As for the Rangers, damage value across the board is not going to be insane. Some really poor, actually, with 75. Others more about the mid 500 range, as they're going to get the damage done, they're going to get the kills, but they're really just cutting off the heads of Skaven slaves. They're characters living out their Vermintide dreams. As for the archers, let's have a little look. 133, 79, 232, and 21. Oh, that's pretty scary stuff. They got shut down heavily. Now, I do like the Archer pick because it's a good counter to Hell Pit Abominations. If you get them close enough to a really defensive Skaven build, they'll also delete weapon teams rather nicely. Hell Pit Abominations, Rat Ogres, all that good stuff. But 4 units is maybe a tiny bit too much and a little bit hard to protect, particularly when coming in with the triple Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Although the Bolt Throwers performed a really solid job, particularly because the Archers were the main distraction. The Skaven player wanted to shut them down early. The Bolt Throwers were able to fire a little while longer. 1.3k damage value on this unit, 354 on the other, 840. So 2 of them performing well, 1 not so good. It comes and it goes. As for the Silver Helms, I think they were masterfully played by Blitzen. Not immediately going, okay, there's a back line here, I want to shut it down. No, instead, I'm going to break the back of this Skaven front line and allow the Rangers to pour in and then free up the Silver Helms once more. Can be a dangerous situation because by the time you get into the back line, maybe the enemy range has done too much damage, but I like this play and I see a lot more players starting to adopt it as well. 103 kills on this unit, 920 damage value, not too shabby. 555 on the other unit, which is used, I think, to chase off a lot more routing troops, which is good use of them as well. 1,188 damage value on this other unit, which got triple chevron. As for Blood Penguin, once again, the name, so cool. Lord Stroke coming in, 1,500 damage value, plus the summons were pivotal in keeping the Skaven going as long as they did. I like the Warlock Engineer play, both guys being double caster here, just to pin in any Air Force, maybe suspecting a Dragon or 2, or maybe some Eagles, and it came in pretty clutch, keeping the Dragon out of that key fight in the later stages of the game. The Assassin, 1,144 damage value, despite the fact he was barely scratched. Unfortunately, his army crumbled around him and decided, like all good Skaven, to flee for his life. Skaven slaves in the front line, we're not going to look too in depth of their damage value because, of course, they're here to get slaughtered. I mean, this one, 250, not too shabby. They might have been the one who shut down one of the bolt throws briefly. Clan Rats, likewise, 222 damage value. But at the end of the day, these guys are meat shields, allowing the rest of the build to really pack a punch. War Grinders, a disappointing 176 damage value, but some good work pinning in the enemy with Seismic Snare. Council Guard, 624 damage themselves. As for the weapon teams, the Rattling Gunners performed a pretty good job. 1,314 damage value on them. The obliterating of the Dragon, so close to breaking the Archmage as well, and doing some pretty decent damage to Silver Helms as well. As for the Poison Wind Mortar, 2,621 damage value, using up all its ammunition, an amazingly powerful unit. Though they have been slightly nerfed, they still can do a good job. Blood Penguin certainly showing that today. As for the Wolf Rats, 500 damage value here, 156 on this unit. I didn't really catch what caught them early on, but I assume it was the Silver Helms just destroying them from the rip. Likewise, the Rat Ogres did struggle a little bit here. Likewise, as well as Itix Zap Zap, because unfortunately, it simply got out-traded by the triple Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, yeah, catch you on the next one. So until next time, guys, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.